And I'm Kat, and welcome to the Crime Chat. I'm your Wild West forensic femme fatale today, and Natalie is your cowboy, outlaw, true crime connoisseur. So,
Yes. We're just two normal girls who are obsessed about dark crimes, evil minds, and occasionally the unknown.
and here's your disclaimer. Chatters, the following crime chat contains adult content and maybe violent scenarios. Today we're talking
Mm-hmm.
about
Oh,
gunslinging,
yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
the
It wouldn't be a
dust
crime chat
rolling.
without that.
Yes. Your listener discretion is advised.
You have been warned, but before we get in today's crime chat, Kat, what have you done?
I'm back home.
Mm-hmm.
I made it home. Had some hellacious. It's a 2.5 hour drive, and I had some hellacious storms on the way home.
Hellacious. That's a great word.
Hellacious. Like, all right, I'm gonna need to slow down for this. And I didn't take the highway because people are stupid,
Right?
and
Because it's
it's
your fault.
miles wise. It's kind of like out of the way. There's a more like direct but back roads kind of way to go back.
Mm-hmm.
So I took the back roads back, and yeah, it was pretty. It was stormy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, but I didn't also get up and hurry in the morning because it was busy and I wanted to sleep in and take my time.
Good. You deserve it.
Be out and check out, but I wanted to take my time
Mm-hmm.
and, mosey and make my way back home. Chris was on shift when I got home yesterday, but he did take the evening off, so he came home about like 7.
Mm-hmm.
We hung out and then he went back to shift this morning. But last night when he was home, we binged the first 4 episodes of Wednesday, the new season. Have you
That's why I
s-
didn't leave. I didn't write anything for myself because that's what I did.
You did?
Yes.
Oh my
What'd you
gosh.
What'd you think?
Well, I think it's amazing.
Yeah.
It is. They do such a good job. And I
Yeah.
love that Christina Ricci is back. They've got a lot of like Steve Buscemi. That's his name,
Mm-hmm.
right? Steve
Yeah.
Buscemi is in there.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, great characters.
I love that they're focused on Morticia this
Yes.
season. I think she's fabulous. I think Catherine Zeta-Jones is doing an
Yeah.
amazing Morticia because I mean
Yes.
it's hard to get past the what's her name Houston the Angel
Oh, Angelica Houston.
it's hard
Angelica
to
Houston.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
hard to get past that because she kind of set
Yeah.
the bar.
Yeah.
But Catherine Zeta-Jones is doing an amazing rendition of Morticia
Okay.
Adams. Love it.
Does she look like she got some work done to you on
Of
her
course.
face?
Yes.
Okay. I'm like she looks like her, but she doesn't look like her.
Yeah, she definitely I guess that's the Hollywood thing, but
Yeah, yeah.
she is a beautiful woman.
Very.
Definitely got some work done. Her body is amazing. I mean, she's
Yeah.
dressed like Morticia Adams. You have to be
Yeah.
perfection to wear that ensemble. But
And is it Luis Guzman that
yeah,
plays?
I
Oh my
love
gosh, he's
I
so
love
funny.
him. Love they did such a good job. What a great
Yeah.
little series.
So I'm curious about the zombie thing.
Yeah,
That was an interesting twist.
I
I
know.
think he's gonna turn back into the teenage version.
He's this professor. He's the crazy professor. So I think we may have like a Frankenstein thing going on for
Yeah.
next season.
It's pretty cool. And they did confirm season 3 already.
They did? Oh, this is
Yes.
awesome.
They confirmed it, I guess, right before the
Mm,
season 2 premiered. They did confirm for season 3. But yeah, first 4 episodes, awesome.
yeah.
Loved it. I think that the aunt's gonna be making, because I keep making references to Aunt Ophelia.
Yes.
So I think there's gonna be
I thought the
some.
crow was
Me
the
too.
ant snooping on the situation, but you're right.
Yeah.
And I thought also that lady that they helped escape at the end. I'm like, oh, that's the ant. But I didn't know what
Yeah.
the.
So that's kind of what I thought too. I think that she might be because she's, been
Mm-hmm.
zapped in the brain too once too many times. So
And did you see the lady, the actress they got to play Matish's mother?
yes.
That is the actress from Absolutely Fabulous, the blonde with
Yeah.
the big hair, and she's an
Yeah.
amazing actress.
I looked her up last night
Yeah.
and she became a dame in 2022.
Did she?
Yes.
They
Yeah.
got good cast.
great cast. And I think
Mm,
it was just because too it was so popular, like,
yeah.
you know. But I did notice there's a couple of them that it's their first ever like big production.
Oh, really?
Some of the cast, like the guy who plays Bruno, the roommate's new love interest.
Okay.
It's his first time in a major production.
Really? Okay. Good.
Yeah.
I
And then
like
there was like
that.
another other character, but anyways, yeah, fantastic.
Oh, the girl that played the Invisible Woman.
Oh my God, yes.
Love
That's
her.
she's one
Little
of them too. It's one of
she
her new like her first big production.
really.
Hmm.
She's amazing. What a
She's
great
great.
job.
Yeah.
Is very convincing to be a little psychopath stalker. She's doing a great job. Love it.
Congratulations. You
She's
are
you
a
are.
psychopath.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's pretty much it. I've got one more week of this class that I'm in.
Hmm.
I have a week off. Then I start my last class for this year. And then a week after that, I start teaching. So I'm going to be in class and taking classes again here coming up pretty soon. So that's about it.
Very
Just kind of
cool.
getting ready for, the Burr months. We're ready for the Burr
We
months.
are. I am. It's freaking hot.
I know.
I can't. Like, that's the one thing I can take extreme cold. I cannot do extreme heat because you can't peel off your skin. But
Well,
you could
that's
put on a
true.
jacket. You could put on a
That's
jacket,
true.
but you
Yeah.
can't. There's only so much you could take off,
Hmm.
till you get arrested.
We went out to dinner one night, me and the two other girls that I was working with, and one had an amazing steak. Two, the bartender slash waiter looked like a doppelganger of my oldest son. I
Oh,
kept staring
really?
at him, going,
Did you scare him? Did
so
he?
I didn't say anything to him until I was tabbing out, like
Okay.
checking out. But I talked to the girls that I was with, and I was like, okay, call me crazy. I'm going to show you a picture of my son. Just tell me if you think what you think. Like if it looks like, and I don't remember his name, but if you think it looks like him. And they're like, "Oh yeah, I could see that. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah," because he had the glasses and he has like that thick curly hair. My son's hair, he's growing it out, kind of thing. So it's like thick and he has naturally wavy hair. This guy's
Hmm.
hair was a little bit more curly, but I was just like, "That's just insane." And then I was getting ready to check out, and I was like, "I'm sorry, like I have to say this because what you think about doppelgangers." I said, "But you could be my son." You could be my son right now. And he's like, well, how old is he? I think he looked at me going, you have a son that's my age,
Right.
right?
Right. He thought you were
And
gonna hit on
so
him.
I said, well, and they said he'll be 27 in September. He's like, oh, okay, I'm 27, kind of thing. Like, okay, I guess you are old enough that you could be my mother. And I showed him a picture and he's like, yeah. So he even agreed. He wasn't freaked out. And
Hmm.
and I was telling my son about it the other night and I said, if I go back to Charlotte, because we're going to be going back in the fall for another week-long thing, said if I get picked up for it to go, I'm going to go back to that place and I'm going to get a picture with him so I can show you. Because he just like, I was like, it just blew my mind. Yeah. Anyway, but anything else for you?
I did start my medieval dynasty
Yay!
story. That's about
How's
it.
it
I mean, I
going?
joined a fan club for it, so
Okay.
because it's like a big thing. Like apparently, it's one of those games that you can spend years playing and not get
Mhm,
through it all. So I'm like, all right,
mhm.
this is not something that you want. Normally when you play a game, you kind of rush to the end or try to find out.
Yeah.
There's no ending here. So I'm like, all right, so this is going to be just something that I relax while I do. But yeah,
Yeah.
I'll send
To
pictures and
continually
stuff.
do that.
I'll post it on the Facebook.
Okay.
Pictures of my journey.
I did get 2 more books. Remember I said I had to rummage through my
Mm-hmm.
at-home library to find something, so I'm about halfway through. It's very small type text because it was made in, like, '85, but it's, like, very small, so it's taking me a little bit longer, and I write and read and research and, think, and so it takes me a little bit longer to do, but I got 2 books. One is The Alchemist.
Oh, I've read that.
You have.
Yeah,
Did you like
I
it?
read that a couple of times. I read it for in college, and then I read it
Yeah.
Not like maybe 5 years ago. Again,
Yeah.
just one of those
Well,
things. It's a good book.
I've heard it was really inspirational and like
Mm-hmm.
had a really good story and stuff to it, and it's a little bit out of my kind of norm. So I
Yeah.
thought, well, I'm gonna give it a shot. It's gotten, but what I don't know if you knew this, the author, when he published it in the 90s, I want to say it first came out in 90, I don't know, the first publishing. He
Okay.
sold two books,
Did he
and the
really?
publishing company ended the contract.
Oh.
So he searched in like for another publishing company, and another, the one who did it picked him up, and they
Mhm.
did all kinds of advertising. So he was doing radio and TV interviews, and he was making appearances and doing book signings and all these other things. And he said, "There's then it, some of it started to sell." He said, but then Bill Clinton was seen walking around with a copy, and then Will Smith was talking about
Yeah.
reading the book, and just like all these kind of like celebrities and like big figures were talking about it, and it just
Hmm.
went ka-choo.
Yeah. Yeah. Social media, the early onsets of social media.
Yeah,
But it's a good book because every time you read it, you're going to get something else out of it, depending on the stage in your life.
I've heard that as well.
Hmm.
Yeah, I've heard that as well. So I think I got the 25th anniversary edition.
Oh,
That,
cool.
yeah, but that's about it. Well, today you said, "Hey, Kat, can you do an intro on the Wild Wild West?"
Yes.
Speaking of Will Smith, remember
Yeah.
that song? The
Yes, I
Wild
do.
Wild West.
Hmm.
That's all I kept going through my head the whole time I was writing this. The Wild Wild West. Well, the Wild Wild West is often called the American frontier, which generally refers to the American West, specifically the frontier region west of the Mississippi. During the late 19th century, about the end of the Civil War,
Hmm.
and then into the early 20th century around 1912. This period is characterized by westward expansion, cowboys, a lack of established law and order in many
Hmm.
areas, and then conflicts with the Native Americans.
Hmm.
More specifically, the Wild West encompassed a diverse range of states and territories, including Arizona, Colorado, New Mexico,
Hmm.
Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, parts of Montana, Wyoming, Utah, and Nevada. The
Yes.
Wild West has become a powerful cultural symbol representing individualism, ruggedness, and the challenges of
Hmm.
frontier life. Enter in Yellowstone 1883. Many of the industries during this area included cattle ranching, mining, railroad construction, which contributed to the region's development and associated conflicts. And there were also conflicts between the outlaws and the lawmen. The majority of outlaws in the Old West preyed on banks, trains, and stagecoaches. Some crimes were carried out by Mexicans and Native Americans against the white citizens who were targets of opportunity along the U.S. Mexican border, particularly
Hmm.
in Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, and California. Some
Yes.
crimes also stemmed from disputes over land, resources, or personal grievances. Shootouts, particularly in saloons and bars, were frequent, and some towns even implemented some gun control measures in response to the high murder rates. For example, Pancho Villa. You learned about Pancho Villa in school, didn't you?
It sounds vaguely familiar. Yeah, I think I did.
Yeah. He was a bandit
Yes, I
from
remember.
Durango, Mexico,
Okay.
who conducted cross border raids into New Mexico and Texas.
Mm-hmm.
And some other individuals, like Jesse
Hmm.
James, became outlaws after serving in the Civil War.
Yeah.
Some were simply men who took advantage of the wilderness and lawlessness of the frontier to enrich themselves at the expense of others.
Mm-hmm.
Some outlaws also migrated to the frontier in order to escape prosecution for crimes elsewhere. So, once a criminal, always a criminal.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if the lawmen were present, it was usually spread thin. But if they were, it was presented on like three tiers. So you had your deputy U.S. Marshal, a county sheriff,
Mm-hmm.
and then either a town marshal or constable.
Yes.
Sometimes their jurisdictions overlapped, which could lead to conflicts like those between Deputy U.S. Marshal Virgil Earp
Mm-hmm.
and Cochise County, Arizona Sheriff Johnny Behan. So, okay, real quick,
Mm-hmm.
my ex husband's family
Yeah.
are Earps. They're related to the Earps.
That's cool. That's really
Yeah.
cool.
So I know you knew that, but maybe other people didn't know that.
But did you know my family's related to the Hatfields?
Yes, I remember you saying that now.
Yeah, my
Yeah.
Irish side. They're crazy. They're
Yeah.
nuts. It's okay. They were nuts back then too. It's all right. It's hereditary.
When an outlaw committed a crime, the local sheriff or marshal would usually form a posse to attempt to capture them.
Mm,
Rewards were posted for outlaws, which encouraged citizens to capture or kill them for the reward, leading to the profession of a bounty hunter. The violent reputation that the Wild West holds today often stems from the early years of the era. The settlements and towns between 1850 and 1880 were particularly isolated and mentioned previously they lacked like this legal infrastructure.
hmm
So it should also be noted the largest instances of violence didn't come from the average American citizens, but from the state itself.
mm,
So that conflict with the lawmen and kind of thing. Now, punishments for crimes were often determined by local customs and the severity of the offense. Public executions were a common form of entertainment and a way to reinforce social norms.
mm,
Set an example.
mm-hmm.
Vigilante justice was common, especially in areas with limited formal law enforcement. Now, there were four different types of common punishments.
Okay.
So the first one, public shaming.
Mm-hmm.
And this included stocks and pillory, which is when offenders were confined to the public, enduring humiliation and ridicule.
Mm.
Duckings, which is a form of public punishment where a person is repeatedly submerged into water. And then branding, hot iron used to brand criminals, marking them with a symbol related to their crime, like T for theft
Wow.
or thief, T for thief.
Mm.
Yeah. The second one is physical punishment. Public whipping was used for various offenses. Loss of body parts.
Oh.
In some cases, ears or other body parts were cut off as a punishment. And
Um,
the only thing I can think of is like when this was more so in like Europe and kind of like in the Middle East kind of era, like you steal something and they cut off your hand.
oh my Lord.
That's what I'm thinking.
Oh God.
It should be like if you commit adultery, you should be castrated.
Right. Yeah. Oh God. Oh my
And
God.
the last one under physical punishment was running the gauntlet, a form of punishment where an individual is forced to run between two lines of people who strike them with weapons or objects. The third type of punishment is a formal punishment, and this includes banishment, where criminals were expelled from a community or wagon train.
Mm-hmm.
Imprisonment, now while jails did exist, they were often rudimentary and not always well maintained.
Mm-hmm.
Fines, monetary penalties were imposed. Hanging, a common form of capital punishment for serious crimes like murder, horse theft, robbery. They were often carried out publicly.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you think about it, it's like horse theft. I mean, that's somebody's way of life sometimes,
Yeah,
you know?
that's a car today.
Yeah.
And it's a fancy car today because people really didn't own horses unless horses were a mode of transportation. They weren't
Right.
necessarily a work animal. Like normally you would have a
Right.
bull or a steer to do that. But they
Right.
to
Or
have a
a
mode of a
donkey.
donkey, right? To have a mode of
Yeah.
transportation that was just exclusively for that, that's you're
Yeah.
making some money. Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's like a Lamborghini today.
The last one under formal punishment is firing squad, used for, again, more serious offenses, particularly in military contexts.
Mm,
And then the fourth criteria is the vigilante justice. Lynchings. Vigilante groups would often take the law into their own hands, particularly for crimes like cattle rustling or horse theft, then often resulting in immediate hanging.
oof.
Crime statistics in this era, if you can
They had
imagine, pretty
stats. Who recorded
difficult. Well,
them?
they're difficult to nail down.
Who was recording the stats? That's great.
Hang in there. But we're gonna brandish some numbers. Did you see what I did there?
Yes. There you go. Ah,
But of course, many of the small towns across the frontier, they just didn't count like how many crimes or
right.
murders took place. So it is hard to kind of hone in on, but there were some statistics that showed a rather alarming level of violence.
Mhm.
For example, in the early years of one of the most famous cities in the Wild West, Dodge City,
Hmm.
there was a 1 in 61 chance you would be murdered.
Oh God.
That's freaking high.
That is yes.
And it says a number it is inconceivable in modern America and was
Mm-hmm.
even high for that period.
Mm.
The coastal city of San Francisco had a more manageable number of 1 in 203
Oh my God. Still
to be murdered.
crazy amount of murder.
I
Crazy. Too
know.
much murder. There's a lot of murder.
And with that, it is also impossible to definitively name the town that was the most dangerous in the Wild Wild West,
Mm,
but it is often cited as Bodie, California,
mm,
the most wildest and lawless in the Old West. Other contenders for this title include Tombstone, Arizona,
mm-hmm.
and El Paso, Texas,
Yeah.
particularly due to their reputation for violence and frequent gunfights. So, I hope that's a kind of what you were looking for the
Was
Wild Wild West
That was perfect.
today.
Yes. That
Good.
was perfect.
Wonderful.
Okay. Well, our story today can only be described with one word, and that word is diabolical.
Oh my gosh. That's a good word.
All
Wow.
right. Well, in 1858, the California gold rush had all but dried up, but a new
Mm-hmm.
hotspot opened up, and that was southern Rocky Mountain region of Colorado, nicknamed the New El Dorado. Populations exploded as settlers poured in, hoping to get rich.
Yeah.
One notable drifter who followed the gold rush was Alfred Packer. Now, I know what you're going to think because you immediately caught that grammar.
Yeah.
There's a reason for that, and we're going to get into it.
Okay.
But who was this Alfred? Well, Alfred was born Alfred Packer on January 21st, 1842, in Pennsylvania, to mother Esther and father James, who was a carpenter. They had 3 kids. He was one of them. She was a
Hmm.
stay-at-home mom. Not much is known about Alfred's early childhood except that he suffered from epilepsy and was prone to seizures.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Now, instead of sending him to school, his father taught him how to work with wood and leather and,
Mm-hmm.
taught him skills that he could master, which he did.
Mm-hmm.
He
Mm-hmm.
worked as a shoemaker, he was a hunter, he worked as a wagon teamster, a ranch
Mm-hmm.
hand, he did a lot of field work. So
Mm-hmm.
his father gave him a trade because one, he was dealing with seizures, and two, there was no real formal schooling in his life,
Sure.
you know?
And it wasn't necessarily required, I guess you could say,
Right.
either.
Life was rough back. It was
Yeah.
wild. Life was
Yeah.
rough back then.
Wild Wild West.
At age 19, he enlisted in the army to fight for the North in the Civil War. He enlisted 2 times. Once
Oh.
in April 1862 and another time in June 1863.
Mm-hmm.
During the war, he decided to get a tattoo of his name on his arm, but he was so illiterate that he spelt it
Oh my
Alfred.
god.
So from this point on, he just ran with it. He's like, all right, what
Well,
do
I'm
you,
Alfred.
I'm Alfred from now on. But unfortunately, he wasn't in the army that long because he was discharged due to his epilepsy. I guess back
Sure.
then they really didn't have medical examinations the way they do today.
Mm-hmm.
So he could just
Mm-hmm.
lie and say, no, I'm fine. I'm
Mm.
healthy. Everything's good.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm good. Yeah.
Hmm. He ended up in Colorado looking for gold, like everybody else, but his health hindered him. By 1871, Alfred had moved to Utah, where he worked as a miner and developed
Mm-hmm.
lead poisoning. Nothing was
Oh
working out
man.
for this poor guy.
Oh
That
man.
profession didn't work out either, and honestly, he was looking to strike it rich like everybody else. He probably just should have stayed on the farm and worked
Mm-hmm.
with everything that his father, all the skills his father taught him. Probably should have leaned in
Yeah.
on that, but he didn't.
Mm-hmm. Of course, we wouldn't be here if we
Right.
had.
He would be a crime chat. 2 years later, Packard read an article in the Denver Tribune about mines in the San Juan Mountains. During his travels to get there, he met 2 people. He met Bob McGrew and George Tracy. Same as him, hoping to strike
Mm.
it rich.
Mm-hmm.
The difference is they had wagons, horses, so they had a means to get there, and
Sure.
Packard was more like a hobo.
Mm-hmm.
And they were camped out at Bingham Canyon. Alfred asked to join, and they agreed. They said, okay, no problem. Just set a tent
Mm-hmm.
by us, and
Mm-hmm.
you could be part of our group, and you can come with us. On November 1st, 1873, Alfred, Bob McGrew, and George Tracy, and 19 other men in their wagon party embarked on a 400-mile journey to Colorado. Along the way, others joined, including Preston Nutter, who
Mm-hmm.
immediately worried about the lack of provisions. Alfred, he brushed it off. He's like, no,
Mm-hmm.
we can hunt along the way. You don't have
Right.
to come to our party and think like you know it all. Like Preston was more commanding and demanding, and
Mm-hmm.
Alfred had a problem with authority.
Ah,
So they clashed. They were like oil and water.
that's exactly what I was thinking. Like, just not mixing. You can
Yeah.
be in the same container, but it's going to be separated.
Right. At first, the trip seemed to go well, but by the time they reached the Grand River, they realized they were lost and the journey was going to take a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Preston was livid. He blamed Alfred for undermining him with the group, and he started to like ask some of the other 21 members of this party, like, how do you know this guy? Like, how do you know
Yeah.
Alfred? Where did he come from?
Yeah.
Like, does anybody know who this guy is? Because he just didn't like him. He rubs him the wrong way.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently, it came out that a couple of them did know of him and that they stated that, like, yeah, we know him because he was arrested in this town and he went to
Mm-hmm.
jail.
Yeah.
And Preston was a serious dude. He's like, oh no, we don't deal with crooks and criminals. Like, why did you go to prison? Like, he confronted
Right.
him. And
Yeah.
Alfred was like, dude, I got caught in a house of prostitution. He's like,
Yeah.
I was in the army. This is what we do. We know when we're off duty, we go to the prostitution houses. That's the way it is. I'm not a bad guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that made sense to everybody. So
Yeah.
basically, the conversation ended there. But still, Preston was just like, no, it's just he was above that.
Yeah.
And Preston didn't shut up about it. Like, he kept the fact that he was in jail in the conversation at every
Oh,
pit stop
jeez.
they had, at every campfire stop station they had. He did not let it go. Everybody decided, they were like, no, he's coming with. He needs a break just as bad as everybody else here. But as the provisions dwindled, tensions mounted.
Oh.
By January 1874, the men were exhausted and
Mm.
malnourished. They met up with Chief Henri of the Ute tribe. He offered food and rest and warned them that if they did not wait until spring, that they wouldn't make it
Oh.
to their final destination,
Oh.
which was the Los Pinos Indian Agency. So
Mm.
now the way it worked, which I didn't know this, okay? Back then in the Wild West, when people were traveling in their wagons, there were like these outposts, okay?
Uh-huh.
Sometimes there were other cowboys, but
Sure.
sometimes they were Indian reservation outposts that these travelers would go to, and the Indian, like they would call it the Indian agencies or the outposts, they would
Mhm.
host them.
Okay.
And sometimes they would get a cut or whatever because they understood the land, they understood the weather, and they were like,
Right.
if they liked you, they would warn you and say, listen, you don't want to leave right now. Why don't you come hang out with us? We'll
Yeah.
host you, and then you leave.
That's very generous
Yes.
considering
Yeah,
what
it's
we did
true.
to
True. But
tribes.
also, with that said, there were different tribes that would fight amongst each other. So to have the cowboys in their kind of pocket, like, oh, they like our tribe, kind of helped them as well. So they
All right.
listen. They were making deals,
Yeah. Wheeling and dealing from day one.
So on February 2nd, some of the men decided that they couldn't wait. They needed to leave. They wanted it. They wanted
Mhm.
to rough it. They could do it. They're men.
Mhm.
When Alfred, however, tried to go with them, one man said, no, we don't want you to go. Like, we're leaving. Like, there were 21 men, like 5 of them
Uh-huh.
left. They were like, no, it's just us 5. We don't want you to be part of the group. So he was left behind.
Okay.
Basically, the party split.
Okay.
Some stayed, some left. The first group did reach the destination of Los Pinos, but they did lose a couple of men along the way because of the
Oh.
weather. They reported that 3 men were stuck in the snow, but they were too difficult to rescue or get to. Like, I don't know why would you walk that far away?
Yeah.
You have to go pee.
Oh.
I'm sorry, I'm peeing right there. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
The temperatures dropped
Mm.
as low as below 10, so
Wow.
that's really freaking cold. Yeah.
Very.
Alfred did end up finding a group and leaving about a week later. So he
Okay.
joined a party of 5, and their names were George Noon, who was 16 years old, Israel
Mm.
Swan, who was 60, Frank Miller, who was a German butcher,
Mm.
Shannon Wilson Bell, he was from Michigan, and James Humphrey from Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Now, George McGrew, he did go with them initially, but then he was like,
Uh-huh.
damn, it's fucking cold. And he turned back to the reservation. Like, he was like, no, this isn't for me,
Okay.
which saved his life. On April
Mhm.
2nd, 1874, the rest of the original party, Alfred's group, departed
Mhm.
for Los Pinos. Some heeded Chef Henri's advice, including
Mhm.
Preston Nutter. He
Mhm.
said, no, I'm going to listen to the chief. He said not to go. And
Yeah.
Preston Nutter, you know how he is. He plays by the rules. So he stayed
Yeah.
and he waved Alfred goodbye. He's like, bye, good luck.
Bye.
Alfred did arrive to Los Pinos, but he
Uh-huh.
arrived alone by
Oh,
himself.
all by
Yeah.
himself. Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. Ooh,
Yeah.
what happened?
Mm. So camp testimonies varied. Some said that Alfred was emancipated and hungry, and others said that he
Okay.
looked well fed. All agreed that Alfred said that the others abandoned him. Like, that was his story. And it was believable because nobody liked him
Yeah.
because he had a problem with like authority and he was shady. So when Alfred got there by himself, people were like, where's your party? And he's like, they left me. What do you mean they're not here? They didn't get
Yeah.
here
Yeah.
already? Like, I did this on my own because they
Yeah.
didn't.
Yeah.
His story was, I was walking around and my feet got so cold, struggling to walk. And they were just like, all right, whatever, we're leaving you.
Mhm.
Everybody took his word for it. And there were some people at this camp that knew the
Yeah.
men that apparently left him because remember, they were
Yeah.
part of the initial 21
Right. Right.
people, the initial wagon.
Right.
Preston eventually arrived to this camp because
Uh-huh.
he waited, he
Uh-huh.
heeded the warning of the chief and he was like, all right, I'm going to wait for weather to turn around a little bit and then I'm going to head out. So he got
Yep.
there in record time because he wasn't bearing the cold.
Right.
He goes, where is everybody? And Alfred said, I have no idea.
Okay. Go ahead.
What?
I have a theory, but go ahead.
So Alfred said, I have no idea why they didn't arrive. I don't know. They left me,
Mhm.
Preston didn't trust him. He noticed that Alfred had a knife, a skinny knife,
Mhm.
and he knew that knife belonged to Frank Miller.
Mhm. Mhm.
Alfred said that Miller stuck it in a tree and left it, so he found it and took it. But Preston, he was like, yeah, I don't know about that. I don't think a
Mhm.
man in the wild is going to leave behind a really good carving knife. I don't think that's
Mhm.
people just don't do that. I mean, it's not like you can
Yeah.
just go to like Willem and Sonoma out there. There's no Walmart.
Yeah.
As the group moved on, Alfred stayed at the Dolan Saloon. He spent about $100 a day, which would be about $2,000 today.
Oh dear.
And he spent it at the bar. He spent it on poker. Remember, he told everybody that he was stranded. He was broke.
Mhm.
When you're a big spender in this type of situation where everybody is traveling together and and you're
Yeah.
basically all there for one mission, which is to get money, and suddenly you're producing
Hmm.
hundreds at the bar,
Mhm.
it does seem shady.
Mhm.
And also, he was telling everybody, like I said, that he was broke, and this aroused
Mhm.
suspicion. He ended up befriending the owner of the bar, who was James Dolan. And the saloon owner was like, Alfred looks well fed.
Mhm.
He doesn't look like he's starving.
Mhm.
And he even offered him money to stay at the saloon. He didn't want to go back to the camp.
Mm.
So he wanted to kind of separate himself from the pack because I
So
think,
he offered Dolan money
yeah,
to stay.
yeah, at the
Okay.
saloon.
At the saloon. Uh-huh.
When Alfred left town on May 1st, 1874, he stopped by the general store and had breakfast. And
Mhm.
General Charles Adams, I wonder if there's any
Mm.
relation,
Hmm.
he ended up having a nice conversation with him. I think Alfred was charismatic.
Okay.
So when you see a picture of him, he's not a bad looking dude. He's rough. He's very rough looking, but
Sure.
he kind of has that gothic look, almost like a
Hmm.
Edgar Allan Poe look.
Okay.
All right.
Mhm.
And also, he's illiterate.
Mhm.
He has no type of education, and a lot of times when people are trying to cover up something like that, they do become very charismatic. They
Sure.
do become conversationalists because they are
Mhm.
trying to avoid or kind of bring your attention off of something that they don't want you to see.
Mhm.
So now at the store, everybody was talking about his story, and the general was like, "Tell me your story again. Like what happened? What happened to the party?" And he
Mhm.
he repeated, his frozen foot story and how they left him behind. And after he left, the store owner said that Alfred Packer guy is bad news and questioned
Mm.
why Alfred wasn't looking for the men.
Right.
General Adams offered to help search for them.
Okay.
And Alfred just was like, Yeah, they'll arrive, whatever. Like, he kind of knew the answer already,
They'll show up.
Now, halfway through their journey, they ran into George Tracy, who also
Okay.
listened to Alfred's story.
And he was one of the original ones that he first met.
It was him and McGraw.
Yeah.
George Tracy kind of brought him into the group initially.
Mm-hmm.
This time, Alfred said Israel Swan died out of the blue in a conversation. And everybody's like, what do you mean he died? You said they should be arriving soon. Like, how do you know? Where did that come from?
Yeah.
So George accused Alfred of murder. And others wanted to lynch him in the group. They were like, you did something. Like, something is really shady because they never arrived. And it's been, 2 weeks now? It's been 12 days.
Mm-hmm.
General Charles Adams. General Adams told him to come into his office so they could have a nice conversation.
Okay.
Adams asked where Alfred got his money.
Yeah.
Alfred claimed that it came from his friend named Kincaid in Saguache. Adams investigated this. Saguache wasn't far from where they were.
Sure. Okay.
So he ended up sending a deputy over to Saguache to kind of ask around for this person named Kincaid.
Yeah.
He goes, where did you get all these wallets? So this was right after. This was right after he was buying everything. And one of the stories that the bartender ended up telling the general, because now the general is snooping around asking wherever he spent money. He's like, hey, when he came and spent money, what did he have a wallet? What was it like?
Right.
And the bar guy, James, he's like, he had more than one wallet. He would dig, he would dig through a bunch.
Oh, let me see what's in this one.
Yes. When he got wind that the general was asking about the money, a deputy was kind of keeping an eye on Alfred, and he followed him to a river or a creek, and he watched him throw the wallets in the creek. So it was off his person. And back then, how are you going to retrieve them if they're going down the current? I mean, it's just
right.
It complicates things,
Yep.
When the general's man returned from Saguache to find Kincaid, there was a real person named Kincaid, and Kincaid did know Alfred.
Okay.
But he said, I never gave him any money.
That
never happened. I don't know what you're talking about. So his story's not panning out.
Right.
So the general's like, Alfred, come back to my office. We need to have this conversation.
Yeah.
And at this point, Alfred came clean. Out of the blue, he goes, and I quote, it wouldn't be the first time that people had been obliged to eat another when they were hungry.
I knew it. That was the first thing. I was like, people started disappearing, showing up without him. But I was like, I wonder if he ate him. I was like, okay. And then you said something again.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, he ate him.
Is it disturbing that our brain goes there, immediately? A little disturbing. Alfred confessed that after about 10 days with the group, Israel Swan died. Now, he's the 6-year-old man.
Right.
He convinced the group, we're starving. We're hungry. We have to make the best out of this situation. We got to eat him,
Yeah.
So they did. They cut him up and they roasted his meat on a fire.
Is that why is it Preston Nutter was worried about provisions? Alfred was like,
yeah.
Oh, it'll be fine. We'll
Provisions.
eat along the way.
Yes.
We'll eat together along the way.
Basically, yes. Foreshadowing a little bit. He stated the next to die was James Humphrey. He said the group then roasted him up and ate him. The group then killed and ate Frank Miller and George Noon. The group is now getting much smaller. So now it's just him and Shannon Bell. Obviously, these are the two aggressors. These are the two people that are just like, who's dying tonight, And then these other three people, you had the 16-year-old, which is George Noon. You had the 60-year-old, which is Israel Swan. Then you had the other two, one, I think James Humphrey from Pennsylvania and Frank Miller, Michigan man or whatever. Alfred said he killed Bell in self-defense, but he also ate him, for days. He said he even had some left over, so, he got a bag to go before his travel.
It's not a doggy bag. He got a human bag.
Yeah. 2 weeks later, he ended up arriving in Los Pinos, just days after he finished his doggy bag of human flesh. General Adams is listening to all of this. Like, this guy is just rambling, just telling him all this stuff that he doesn't
Yeah.
know if it's true, if it's the speakings of a madman. He doesn't know. So General
Mhm.
Adams was so stunned. He ended up bringing in witnesses, like people from the camp, some
Right.
of his staff, and he's like, "Come in. I need witnesses
I need
to this
peop
testimony because
Yes,
I
yeah.
barely believe it." So he had a bunch of people come in, and Alfred immediately, when they walked in, was like, he was apologetic. He's like, "I'm so sorry. I'm so mortified. I'm so embarrassed that I ate 5 people."
Oh.
Adams sent a report to the Washington, D.C. to the Commissioner Edward Parlame Smith. While Adams believed Alfred's story and he believed that the cannibalism was born out of necessity,
Uh-huh.
Preston Nutter thought something more sinister. He thought,
Sure.
this is murder.
Murder.
At this point, Preston, being a man of principle, saying, "You know what? I think this is murder and I think we need to do a little bit of detective work." So he convinced the general, like, it wouldn't hurt to just backtrack where he went to his the location. He said this all went down. Let's go check it out. Let's go find the bones and the bodies, bury these
Yeah,
people,
yeah.
all that stuff. So Alfred went along with them because he had to tell them where it
Where it
was and stuff
was,
like
sure.
that. But there were deputies with them
Mhm.
near the spot where Belle was allegedly killed by Alfred.
Uh-huh.
Alfred said that he didn't recognize the area. Preston snapped. He said, "You did it. You should be hung." Alfred retorted, saying, "You know what? I'm not helping you anymore. You find them on your own, okay?"
Yeah. Yeah.
So Alfred was brought back to Los Pinos and he was jailed. The men searching found no body for Belle, but they found plenty of evidence that people were living there.
Uh-huh.
News broke. The Rocky Mountain News ran a story called "Maneater. He's a cannibal" across the front page. I have that too. It's really cool.
Well, actually, I was like, I wonder if this is in the newspaper.
It is,
Like,
yeah.
it just started to. What was Alfred's last name?
Packer.
Packer.
In August 1874, John A. Randolph, an illustrator for Harper's Weekly, found the mutilated remains of all 5 men
Really?
near Lake San Cristobal. So this isn't too far from the campsite that they were searching.
Uh-huh.
So it was within the area, but they didn't look past
Oh
the
no.
campsite of where people appeared to be living.
Mhm.
Now, all 4 bodies were lined up under blankets,
Mhm.
and the 5th body was separate, but he was also missing his head.
Oh, what happened to the head?
It could have been wild animals.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. Yeah.
The heads that they did have were all smashed in.
Mhm.
Flesh was missing from like areas like the thigh,
Mm.
like the meaty area, and the butt.
Mhm. Mhm.
So this didn't look like mere starvation
Mhm.
for anybody. So 2 days later, Packard escaped from jail because, like you said before, there was no system in place. They didn't
Mhm.
exactly have a house, like a designated house or a
Right.
jail or a prison. They
Yeah.
didn't have any of these things. Everything was like either, I guess, like what you see in the movies, like you have like the police station and then you have like one cell in the back or something.
Mhm. Mhm.
He
Yeah.
was able to break free.
They say they usually sleep in there with them,
Yeah.
kind of thing. Yeah.
So after he escaped, he vanished for 9 years.
Really?
9 years, yep.
Wow.
So in March 1883, a man named Frenchie who knew of Alfred, well, I won't say knew of Alfred, he knew Alfred
Mhm.
before all this happened.
Okay.
So he was like an acquaintance of him.
Uh-huh.
Frenchie moved to Wyoming from Pennsylvania. And while he was there, he heard a voice and he's like, I know that voice because Alfred had a very high pitched voice also.
Okay.
And when he went over to the gentleman introduced himself as John Schwartz.
Mhm.
But he looked at the face. He goes, "Holy shit, you're Alfred Packer."
Oh gosh. Can you imagine? You're like, "Oh, fuck, I'm busted."
Yep. He left and he called authorities immediately. And on
Yeah.
March 12th, 1883, Packer was arrested a second time.
Mhm.
And during the transport, he changed his story again.
Jeez.
This time he
Jesus
said
crackers.
Bell had killed everyone. Alfred killed Bell in self-defense. He stuck to that one.
Mm-hmm.
Alfred had killed Bell in self-defense because he walked in on Bell eating Miller. So he's now
Oh.
saying that he had no part in even
Mm-hmm.
eating them,
Mm-hmm.
which I don't understand how because he's all over the place.
Well, he wasn't malnourished.
But he also still had some money left over,
Oh,
okay, that he
yeah.
hid away. And
Yeah.
he hired like one of the town's finest lawyers
Mm-hmm.
to defend him. And people would say, like, where'd you get the money, Alfred? Like, where did it
Mm-hmm.
come from? He's like, I got
Mm-hmm.
it from the silver mines. Leave me alone. Like, but,
I don't
so he was,
remember.
I don't remember. So he was arraigned on March 18th, 1883, and
Mm-hmm.
booked in the Gunnison jail.
Mm-hmm.
And on April 5th, 1883, he was indicted for murder of Israel Swan. Prosecutors held back the other charges in case he was acquitted. They didn't want to
Okay.
group them all together and then have him acquitted of everything. They wanted to
Yeah.
kind of one
Just
after
in
the other,
case. Yeah.
just in
Yeah.
case. His lawyer argued that the media frenzy made a fair trial impossible,
Ah.
but the judge overruled it. He's like, he's going, bring him in.
Mm-hmm.
He needs to know this story, bring him in.
Mm-hmm.
The trial began on April 9th, which is really freaking quick.
Yes, it is. That's
Very
very
quick. A
quick.
month later, yeah.
That's very quick.
Preston Nutter, he testified joyously. He was like, yes, I will testify against this person. Preston was, he was well known in the community. People respected him. And at
Mm-hmm.
this point, first of all, this is happening in like rapid time. This is also
Sure.
9 years after Preston had the run-in with Alfred. But
Right.
during that time, Preston became a state legislator and he was elected in
Ah.
1881. So yeah,
So he's got some charisma too.
he was a man of principle, man of principle.
Yeah.
The judge was so shocked and mad at the trial that he famously yelled out to Alfred, "Damn it! There were only 5 Democrats left in Colorado and you ate them all."
Oh my god.
You know what? I've heard that sentence before in a movie, but I didn't realize it was a real thing. It's a real
Oh
freaking,
my
he really said that.
gosh. Only 5 Democrats left, and you ate them all. Oh my god.
Alfred was found guilty and sentenced to death, but the death sentence was overturned on a legality, a legal technicality. The reason?
Mm-hmm.
In 1883, Packer was tried for the murder of Israel Swan and found guilty first-degree murder. The judge sentenced him to hang. Packer's lawyer appealed, arguing that the murder had taken place in February 1874, before Colorado became a state.
Okay.
Statehood was in August of 1876.
Okay.
That meant that the territorial law in effect at the time of the crime did not allow for the specific way he had been prosecuted.
Sure.
The Colorado Supreme Court agreed, saying that the court had no legal authority to sentence him under the state law for a territorial error crime.
Mm-hmm.
The case was sent back in for a retrial. In 1886, sometimes it's listed as 1885 in reports, Packer faced a second trial. This time, he wasn't charged with murder, but 5 counts of voluntary manslaughter. He was found guilty, and he was sentenced to 40 years in prison, which at this point was the longest prison term in U.S. history, which was 1886. Alfred maintained his innocence the whole time. He was released early on parole on February 8th, 1901.
Okay.
And he died around 65 years old, he died on April 23rd, 1907. So he wasn't out of jail that long, and he kicked the bucket.
Yeah.
We really don't know the details of his later life, except that he worked as a guard at the Denver Post and then as a ranch hand.
Really?
And he also became a vegetarian.
Okay.
He died of a stroke. He was buried in Littleton Cemetery. His headstone just said the word Alfred.
Okay.
Misspelt and all.
Yeah.
His grave was later cemented over to prevent vandalism.
Mm-hmm.
About 30 years ago, they started a new investigation on this case.
Really?
Because they really wanted to figure out what happened. Like, what is it true? Is everything he said?
Yeah.
And which story was true? He had 2 different versions of it.
Right.
And was Belle one of the predators? Was there like what exactly happened?
Mm-hmm.
In 1989, they started to exhume the area
Okay.
again, and they started to apply their forensic technologies.
Mm-hmm.
The forensic work was done by an investigator. His name was James Stars.
Mm-hmm.
On his report, he said, "Yeah, they scene suggests struggle and murder." So
Okay.
I don't know if it's still open, but I think it's just like a hobby at this point of them trying to, connect the dots because it's already
Yeah.
done.
Were they exhumed after they were buried when their bodies were found? Or were they at where they lied for the last 100 years?
Oh, where they moved and buried in like a cemetery?
Yeah.
You know, I
Yeah.
I don't think so. I think they were left
Okay.
there.
So it would have been like right on their original.
Okay, that's a good question because I have the picture from James Starr's report. Like I have
Uh-huh.
the photos he took, and one of them
Yeah.
is the exhumed gravesite with the skeletons, and they're all still laying next to
Uh-huh.
each other.
Oh,
So maybe back
okay.
then, because there wasn't a orderly way of burying people, or maybe
They
no
just put them
no
together.
next of kin to do it, they just kind of like left it there.
Yeah.
So here's some fun facts. In Colorado,
Yes.
he became a folk legend. At the University of Colorado Boulder, students in 1970 voted to rename their cafeteria the Alfred Packer Cafe. And they did. That's the name of the cafe.
Do they know, like,
Yes.
does the university know why? Oh
Yes.
my gosh.
He's a legend. Like he's a weird legend.
I see one. Okay. So
There's a
there's an
couple of
Alfred
there's a grill named Alfred Packer
Alfred I
Grill.
just said Alfred Packer Grill,
Mm-hmm.
University Memorial Center in Boulder. Oh my god.
Crazy. This story also inspired the 1993 musical Cannibal. And this was written by Trey Parker and Matt Stone, the creators of
Mhm.
South Park.
Oh, yeah.
The movie that was inspired by this is I love this movie and it's Ravenous and it was done in 1999. Have you ever seen it?
No.
Oh my God, it's amazing. So it stars Guy Pearce and David Arquette. It's loosely based on Packer. So
Okay.
it's inspired by his story and
Mhm.
it's also inspired by the Donner Party.
Mm,
Um,
that's who I was trying to think of earlier, the Donner Party. Where I was like, there was a group of people.
yeah, then that happened before Packer. So,
Yeah.
but in the movie, it kind of uses cannibalism as a metaphor for manifesting like destiny and unchecked greed.
Oh.
They made it almost like paranormal. So like every time
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
Guy Pearce was the Alfred character. Every time he ate somebody, he got stronger,
Oh.
like almost like spiritually and
Mhm.
physically, and he almost had like this paranormal way of
Mhm.
going about that. And they say that like the guy
Mhm.
who wrote it kind of used the Wendigo
Mhm.
myth, meaning what you
All right.
consume is
Right.
what you are, and then you can kind of transition
Yeah.
and all this stuff. Okay, so it is a thriller.
Mhm.
It's bloody, it's gory, but it's also there's also like dark humor in it. So
It's
it's
just
really good.
the genre is described as horror western.
It's really good. Is the actors are did an amazing job. So that is my Wild West
Wow.
American Cannibal Alfred Packer.
Wow. But that's crazy. Yeah, I'd never heard of that before. And kind of towards the end, I started seeing if I could find some news articles.
Did you
Found
look
one.
up a picture of him? Doesn't he look like Edgar Allan Poe?
Yeah.
Right?
Wow. What a
Well,
story. That's a great
that's
story. When you said to do an intro on the Wild Wild West, I was like, okay, I don't know where this is
You know
going.
who you just sounded like? You sounded like what's her name? Oh my god. Oh my god. What's her name? Jennifer Coolidge.
Oh,
You just sounded like Jennifer Coolidge.
you look like the 4th of July.
You know.
You know. Stifler's mom. I see another one here that came out in 2020, an article. It says, Bon Appetit, the story of Alfred Packer, Colorado's most infamous yet beloved cannibal.
How is he beloved? What Colorado, are you okay? Is everything okay, Colorado? Like why would you do that? That's so
The headline
Odd.
from the Fremont County Record of Cannon City, Colorado, Saturday, March
Mm.
17th, 1883, says, "A human fiend, Alfred Packer, the murderer, man-eater, captured near Fort Fetterman, Wyoming after 10 years. A thrilling
Right.
story of the early days in southern Colorado."
Oh my God. All right.
Okay, what a
Well,
great story. Thank you.
that
Thanks for
was
doing that.
fun,
That was
right?
fun.
It's,
It was
yeah,
a little bit of
different.
a change of pace.
It was the Wild West.
Wow, wow, best.
Mm-hmm. Well, we wouldn't dream of leaving you hanging for more chilling details and twists in this case and many others. Check out After That Crime Chat, available exclusively on our Patreon.
Yes, chatters. Follow us on all of our socials. Crime Chat with Nat Cat on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, X, Rumble. See what we got going on.
Want more chilling content and behind the scenes chaos? Become a VIP chatter to our Patreon. You'll unlock bonus episodes, bloopers, exclusive sneak peeks, and even free merch. Yes, we've got some criminal goodies in the works. So support the show, fuel your obsession with the weird and the wicked, and join the Crime Chat chatter crew in style.
So, our next episode, you don't want to miss that one. It is another crime and cosmetics, and
Yay.
you're going to love it.
Yeah?
You're going to love it.
Can I ask who?
So, I'll give you a name, but you're never going to guess.
Okay.
Marie Littell.
I don't know who that is.
It's going to blow your mind.
Really? All right. All right, cool. Well, you don't want to miss it.
We'll see you on the next Crime Chat.
Bye.